hockey suckers.
You want to change the conversation? Win some games.
Amen, brother.
You think it's funny?
Okay, calm down.
The Vikings.
9 to noon.
Like that!
Big boy's back. You homer!
Hold on to your butts.
Happy Monday, everybody.
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
This is 9 to noon
You're listening to 9 to Noon.
at FM 100.3 KFAN.
That's my Uncle Paul.
He is I and I is he, slim with the tilted brim. Good morning, Nordo by my side. 1 in a row, 4KO. 1 in a row, 4KO. 1 in a row, 4KO. Ah, the rookie. Third down, McCarthy out of the shotgun. Raiders with a big preseason blitz. McCarthy, he's able to get out of it, but then he throws it, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Jimmy Jones, who's having a wonderful preseason debut for the 2024 season. Raiders 3, Minnesota 0, first preseason game. Ah, the superstar receiver on the microphone.
I think I'm gonna switch over, man. I think he's gonna have the full rights to JJ from now on.
Yep.
And I think I'm gonna be the Jets, man. I think I'm gonna keep. Oh, there we go.
Oh, here it is.
Let's go.
McCarthy, 45 yards to Tristan Jackson. And with Justin Jefferson cheering on the sideline, it's 2013 Raiders. I mean, this is the greatest, Justin.
There we go, Paul.
We get. He's JJ. Here we go, Paul. Here we go. Kane, get that edge. Tyrese Robinson in at right guard, so the entire Minnesota Moving Company would be backups. Kane Wanlu, handoff right side, inside the 30, 10, Kane, touchdown! A 48-yard dash of excellence by Kane Wanlu, and the Minnesota Vikings have scored. And who says Minnesota Vikings fans cannot root for Dallas? O'Connell, back to pass. He's hit, and he's sacked. That's number 1 for Dallas Turner. It's only preseason, but it's the first of many sacks to come by the outstanding rookie from Alabama. All right, that was fun. The interaction with Justin Jefferson in the third quarter was a major, major win. And whomever closed on that idea deserves at least a verbal attaboy. A verbal attaboy. Harry the Hitman is in the same role Saturday when the Minnesota Vikings are at Stefanski, and then Kevin O'Connell gets the microphone on the sideline for the game against Philadelphia.
And if anybody missed that, by the way, you can, I believe, podcast that with Vikings On Demand. So you can hear back the entire third quarter. You're out and about. Maybe you just shrugged it off because it's a preseason game.
Very sweet.
But it kicked ass. So you can podcast that with the free iHeartRadio app if you missed out on JJ joining the boys in the booth.
I thought about you during the third quarter because of just knowing some minutia-related details that you like when God's cartoon character, which would be me, is put in certain positions.
Yes.
What I'm talking about is like 5-6 minutes into it, I'm like, well, I called you Justin, and Pete's called you JJ like 3 times. So, before I could get out, what are we doing here with your name or your nickname? He cut me off and said, I believe we've talked about that, Paul.
I always love that one.
I believe we've talked about that, Paul?
Oh,
I always love that one.
And I'm like, yeah, we have, but it doesn't mean I like the answer. I mean, come on, kid.
I was watching at home and I heard that, and I knew as soon as he said that to you that the cartoon's brow jumped and there was laughter. And that was funny. That was a great moment. That's the cool part, again, about preseason. And Ben Lieber, I actually have a couple of shorties. I don't know if there's time today, but he had the chance to talk with not only Tristan Jackson, but Jonathan Grenard during your broadcast as well.
Yeah.
Those types of interviews happening this time of year are always a little looser. Certainly they're more fun. But the kind of the truly unfiltered and unplugged nature of him being plugged in to the broadcast with you guys was super cool. And I don't know how VEN, how they decide. They said they got their meetings and their ideas and they throw stuff on the board. Some works out, some don't. But this idea was mammoth. It was super cool. And the fact you got to do it with JJ to lift off and you're going to get KOC. KOC is so excited for Philly, by the way, PA. He interrupted JJ on your broadcast to talk to you guys. I bet he can't wait to be at Lincoln Financial and chat with you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yep, Harry the Hitman from Cleveland next game in the third quarter, and that's going to be all cerebral. Quick twitch cool for the Alabama and for the Alabama rookie walking off on the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, it's low-key, quick twitch cool. It's a preseason game, but the Alabama rookie, Will Reichard, had an opportunity to experience a walk-off at U.S. Bank Stadium. I thought that was cool. And Reichard was an oxymoron after the game in the locker room. My man is calmly excited.
I always love that one.
Every time I see him or talk to him, he's calmly excited, and he's very focused. He's a very focused young man, and he's also quite the unassuming young man. So good for Will Reichard. I don't know what your Las Vegas Raiders were doing on one of those weird new kick bits, which now seeing it live just looks about as strange can be, specifically when your Raiders lined up at the 45-yard line to start festivities.
I always love that one.
Ron Torbert's like, nah, man, it's the 40. Everybody's, oh, yeah, that's right. Or the 35. So they messed that up out of the gate.
I was going to ask you about that during Vikes Bites, but it was mostly very anticlimactic, as we've talked about it, as it has been in just about every game throughout the preseason.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was watching the early stages of, I think it was San Francisco, Tennessee.
Okay.
Last night on NFL Network. Whomever was playing Tennessee, and whomever is number 5 for Tennessee, I mean, my man got loose down to the 15.
Oh, sweet.
So it's like in the Hall of Fame game, I was excited to come into the feast and say, okay, the NFL has taken the archaic, the NFL has taken the dead and resurrected a dead play and given it life.
Ooh,
So,
Kyrus Jackson.
Yeah.
He had a 63-yard return.
That was it. And did they play the Niners? It was the Niners.
They did play the Niners. You're right.
So they've resurrected something that thoroughly and utterly, or at least mostly, was dead. The kick return. Now, in watching a fair amount of them over the weekend, it's a lot of the same. Where it's the balance the special teams coordinators have between putting out their best material, their traps and their doubles and things like that, and or just figuring out how to properly plop it in the landing zone, the trajectory to put the returner in the most compromising position. A lot of the details, I believe, are being handled with the new kickoff rule around the National Football League, including in our game. And I thought it was the most adorable thing in the world when one of the very best kickers in the National Football League, Daniel Carlson, missed the landing zone.
I always love that one.
Ball at the 40, let's go.
Well, that was the key, and maybe he's trying to work things out, but it's like, okay, so I didn't see that return that you're talking about, and maybe during the regular season you'll see more of those big ones like you referenced in the Tennessee game.
See, the bit with Five's athletic. I mean, I got no idea if he's going to make that. I don't even know who he is. But you saw a block, okay? And then you saw what could be like a low-key hidden double, okay, where the guy... I ain't sitting there trying to be Mike Briefer or anything, but it's the key here is you have to make that first group miss.
You get a one-man advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, making them miss is virtually impossible because it's so congested. But you got to hit it in a way where it's an arm tackler. They have a bad angle. So 5 with the Cordero Patterson like hips and thighs and strength in the legs. He did exactly that. He ran through a tackle and a half, and then one of his dogs got a niner from the backside, and then he almost got loose. And then they ran him down to like the 20 or the 15. So I kind of saw right there what it can look like. Oh, and last week, and I shared with you, I don't know what they were doing at Vikings practice, when it comes to because when I was memorizing numbers and what else do I go there to memorize?
Body types.
I always love that one.
And I'm watching the kick return. It was badass. I mean, it's because they put in their doubles and they put in their traps.
Okay.
And Daniels put in his top shelf selections. And when Kane is able to get outside by the sideline, the bad boy's over. I mean, if he gets through one of these tackles, this arm and a half, this tackle and a half, and then makes the next guy miss with a slide, Kane ain't trying to run down the center of the field.
No.
Okay, that's Percy Harvin. That's Cordero Patterson. Kane wants the boundary. And when Kane gets the boundary like he did on that touchdown run, you ain't getting him. You ain't stopping him. So last week, all the kick returns in practice were the absolute bomb. But you ain't going to show that in a preseason game. And good morning.
Good morning. You're not. But Daniel Carlson's proof that this thing, there's going to be weird moments. There was a safety in the Chiefs preseason game because the player didn't realize that the ball is now live when it hits the ground or you touch it.
Oh, wow.
Like the old days when you could just reach it and possess it back in the end zone and they'll give you the touchback. That ain't the rule anymore. And he took a safety. But Carlson himself, his first kickoff, I believe, went so deep into the end zone, the touchback is now at the 30. So you're getting penalized. Then he misses it because of the landing zone. They get that additional yardage there too. So the whole thing's weird. But Kane, I'm glad you mentioned him, man. I mean, I don't know what that's not going to be regular. That's not going to be normal and frequent from Kane as a running back. But the kid's got it. He had 3 kick return TDs his first 2 years. If he gets that open vein on a kickoff, watch him go.
Now, Andres Pete, who was relegated to left tackle status for the Las Vegas Raiders, veteran Andres Pete, Stanford go crazy. He honestly, I've seen him enough now. He just must be allergic to everything that is purple and gold.
I always love that one.
The Minnesota Vikings kill him every single time. I mean, we're talking back to Everson and Daniil moving inside in a playoff game against the Saints and the anti-Vike. This time, it was Dallas Turner, who set him up with moves a few times and had his way with the old veteran. Now, he got a sack around the edge, but he almost got another, and it was just a treat watching it back to watch Dallas. Now, Andres is not going to be their starting left tackle. That'll be Colton Miller once he leaves the super special pup. But nevertheless, Pete was the guy they had out there for the game. So Dallas is like, this is my lot in life. This is who they put in front of me, and he's a little puffy. And Dallas just did a number on him, man.
Dominated him.
Even when he didn't get home.
Yeah.
That was really fun to watch back.
He was 2 inches away from just bear clawing O'Connell's arm on one a couple before he got the sack.
Oh, really?
Just so close to smashing O'Connell. Would have been beautiful. Still was able, as you say, to walk off with a sack, which was nice.
So this is Minutia Central, okay? I mean, I listened to 30 Minutes of Fan Line driving home with you and Ron. It was Minutia Central. Love how you guys handled McCarthy with and we'll get more into this because I watched every Caleb Williams snap yesterday from the Bears game, all 20, and I watched all of Bo Nix's snaps with the Denver Broncos. And, we had 6 of them go in the first 12 picks. And our guy at 10 and Nick's at 12, well, those two are going to be in a roundabout way linked because of where they were selected and the fact that in unprecedented fashion, 6 of these slingers went in the first 12. So, and the way you guys were talking about McCarthy and that interception, then Ron jumps in here going stat head on it, Stats Inc., Elias Sports Bureau, with like the numbers after the interception, 10 of 14 and something like that. And things changed with McCarthy after that interception. And that was really cool how you guys handled that. But it was minutia related because grandiose opinions of a first preseason game just cannot be formed. Like James Lynch beat his man off the snap basically every single time. Thing is, I don't know who the guy was he was beating because it was another guy the next play and then another. It's just the rotation of the preseason.
Yeah.
But James Lynch played with his metaphorical hair on fire. The secondary could not find Jacoby Myers. All right. So Pierce and super special Luke Getsy, they rolled in here with some package plays that they wanted to give O'Connell because he was going to get one series and they were going to rotate, but they changed that and Minshew got all the first half. And I believe in their next preseason game, Gardner's going to start and O'Connell's going to play the Minshew role up to halftime. But this is not Raiders fan line, and I am not JT the Brick. The point being here is the Raiders, with no joint practices, came in with a certain plan offensively and defensively, and they executed that plan nicely. Now, on the other side of it, our secondary couldn't seem to find Jacoby Myers, who had a career-high 8 touchdowns last year, and he's quite a nice player. The Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins plan for the Minnesota Moving Company seemed very sound. I mean, Crosby and Wilkins, I think they played a series and a half. One of them stayed in a little longer, Wilkins. But they were non-factors.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were doubled. I don't know if they were chipped. I don't know if C.J. Ham got his battering ram on. I ain't watching it back from that standpoint at this stage of the equation. But O'Connell, when we had our production meeting earlier in the week, he had gotten a call from Antonio Pierce before all of this popped that I don't have joints and we're going to play our ones and we're going to play Crosby and Wilkins. And so then O'Connell, in knowing that, well, you got Darnold for a series, and I don't know what the preference was, but the first Minnesota Moving Company was out there and did a good job against Crosby and or Wilkins. But that's not a blanket statement that the preferred perfect job absolutely will be done against Dexter Lawrence and or Nick Bosa the next week. But it's the minutia of the preseason. Those are the things onto which we will glom at times. Now, Ryan Wright looked the part and just has to win the punting job. I mean, that's what he's trying to do. For it was Ryan who was out there to hold on Reichardt's game winner. That's the tell. I believe it's his money. Now, those 7 touchbacks last year might be working on somebody's last nerve. I mean, Seth Vernon, he hit a really good one. And I've said it before, my man who was a former receiver at Portland State, like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, he said, Seth Vernon, with the pandemic and the extra year and the transfer portal and everything, man, I mean, we got like Bo Nix. I mean, he's going to be 25 years of age in February next year. You just got some players who just, like Will Reichard was at Alabama for 5 years. It just takes some adjusting. But Vernon hit a good one. But it was key that we're here to win the game. It's a preseason game, and we're going to roll out 2-time All-Pro long snapper Andrew DePaula. We're going to roll out the FBS all-time leading scorer in Will Reichard, and we happen to like him a lot. So who's going to hold for this game winner? Because Vernon had been getting the punts right before that. Well, the man who rolled out,
he ain't heavy. He's a punter. Yeah, one thing I want to watch back on that 2PA is if you're just looking at stats, right? So on Saturday, I always think yesterday for some reason. Anyway, Seth Vernon was averaging only 45 a punt. Ryan Wright smashed an absolute bomb on one of them, but he was...
Who did?
The plus-size punter. He ain't heavy.
Now he cut some weight, too.
Yeah, he's looking good out there, isn't he? Punter. Is he on his 3rd or 4th number, by the way, as well, since he's come into the league? He was 66 at one point. I think he got jacked by Darnold now. So what is he, 16 or 17?
Hey, I got a Horatio Kane here for you. After the game, I see Ryan Wright, and doesn't matter what I said to him. Doesn't matter the first thing he said to me. But then I was like, well, who was it out there holding for the game winner? And he said, how did he put it? Don't mess this up, Paul. Come on. Well, who was out there holding for the game winner? The guy. So Ryan said something, and you're going to love this. Ryan said something along the lines of the guy who thrives in the spotlight. No, I messed it up. All right, 3-2. The guy who thrives when the lights are bright. That's what it was.
Yes.
They're so wound up after these games. Like Reichard was, it doesn't matter how he asked me, like what it sounded like the game winner and stuff, but I'm like, this ain't top shelf stuff here. I mean, it's not there was no where there's a will, there's a win, whatever it's going to be during the season. Yeah. So those kids in the locker room, man, what a joyous, spirit-filled team these 2024 Minnesota Vikings are, man. Whether they go 3-14 or 14-3, this is a gregarious, spirit-filled, wonderful, wonderful group. It has a youthful vigor to it. Including with McCarthy. I mean, so wide-eyed at 21 years of age. Now, McCarthy's pick was not preferred, but as you guys adroitly handled on FanLine, the bounce back was calm and in control. And we could see, and we talked about this a lot, and it was right in front of us, man, is we could see the innate ability to feel pressure and just feel it and like get away from it without being all hyperactive and your feet jumping around and stuff like that. Sweet pass to Jackson to the left, took advantage of a bust with Sherfield Sr. On the right, and that was excellent because that's what a first preseason game is about. When they're working with you, just ad nauseum on your touch. And we talked a lot about that 9 to noon last week. I mean, I came from a practice where I saw the fastball, I saw the changeup, I saw the circle change, and it looked really, really good. Because like Christian Ponder in 2011, and God bless Christian, I'm a fan, a wonderful, wonderful man, but he was drafted with the change and the circle change and couldn't seem to get the fastball.
Ooh. I always love that one.
Joe Webb threw nothing but noon to 6 curves.
I always love that one.
But McCarthy has the fastball, and he can locate it. Low and inside, low and outside, high and inside. You're out. The fastball's the bomb. Getting him to master the change and or the circle change with the touch and the nuance and the floaters and things like that. Yeah, I might be wrong here, and I haven't talked to anybody about it, but it seemed like the pick was just an overcompensation for touch. He didn't fire that thing. You know what I mean? He was working on something there, and I don't know, maybe the rush was better than I remember, but the bounce back, that was the key, the bounce back. You ain't gonna bury your head in the metaphorical sand because you threw a pick. Nah, you're gonna come back with JJ on the microphone and you're gonna whoop somebody's ass. And that's exactly what happened against now this Jack Jones for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I forgot to look up where he's been, all that kind of stuff. Man, holy cow. I had read a lot of wonderful things about Jack Jones from my guy at The Athletic, about the training camp he was having. Jack Jones was a badass in that game, man. He played really, really well.
Yeah, he was with New England for 2 seasons and then came maybe midstream, maybe part of a trade to the Raiders last year.
But see, when there ones and 1.5s left, I had the women and children with that second, that 2 and 3 secondary for the Raiders. Holy cow, did they have some problems back there.
My last, I want to go back to, so when you watch that playback, and JJ, by the way, in the pocket, and this isn't intentional to take a shot at Kirk or anything like that, but JJ McCarthy, he doesn't lose his compass when things get weird in there.
Yes.
And he had a nice scrambling play where he was able to kind of turn around, and he actually physically basically did a 360, runs out of there, finds the first down. On the interception, Ken Nwanwu was murdered by somebody. I don't know who it is that got him, but it was 1v1. Running back's got to stand there. The train came through.
So it was a missed PI?
It was, we needed some pass protection. We needed some pass protection that forced him out of the pocket.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's a confidence level and just kind of I think he thought he could fit it in there. And I don't know if, I think it was Tristan was the target. Can you lead him farther to the boundary? And
but
maybe
he threw the 2-seamer. You see, that's where the fastball
Yeah.
is needed.
I get you.
And like, who was I watching yesterday? Oh, it was Will Levis. I was watching Will Levis. All right, so Will Levis is out there with
He
Calvin.
throws a fastball.
Out there with Calvin Ridley, and I believe it was most, if not all, of the ones for the Tennessee Titans. And Bo Nix. Yeah, when we talk about Bo Nix later, he did this a lot, as did Caleb Williams. They just put their best players in wonderful opportunistic spots with 50-50 balls. So, like Nix and Williams and Levis, it's when I was watching them, if there was a 50-50, just do it. Because if it gets picked, you ain't going to be benched. If you lose the game, you lose the game. There's only a certain level of audible vitriol that can be shared when you're experimenting with things. And that's what that was, a 50-50. But the kid with the Nolan Ryan-esque fastball, it was the two-seamer. And we needed the fireball. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. But he just kind of went down two-seamer-ish.
No, that makes sense. And then that touch pass where the touch needs to improve is he overthrew C.J. Ham on ultimately what probably would have been at least a first down, maybe more, on that short pass, which I think preceded the interception. But in the end, I mean, the goal ball, as they refer to it, you'll hear Kevin O'Connell talking about it. Perfect placement on that deep ball to Tristan Jackson for the touchdown.
KG. All right, and they're racing. Kevin O'Connell dialed up a couple of deep ones for old JJ just to see what it looked like, didn't he?
And it looked absolutely gorgeous. The Trent Sherfield one, breaking, your broken coverage, and you're finding the right guy. But
yeah, I think we had a bust.
The poise, all of that. Post interception, you saw a kid that just said, "No, I'm better than that. I'm going to go be better than that," and he was better than that.
Right.
And overall, for what we have built this thing into with the 10th overall selection, PA, it was terrific on Saturday watching all of that from Darnold's opening drive. He's messing with the bleeped up helmet thing. He handles business, I think, mostly unscathed. Even he completed a pass while slipping and falling backwards. He did his thing, and then into JJ. It was awesome on Saturday.
They wanted Naylor to make a difference, and he did. Naylor and Ingram, when all the ones left, Naylor and Ingram stayed in for a rather extended amount of time, so read into that as you will. But I know Kevin wanted Naylor to make a difference, and he put him in action right out of the gate, and he was really selling things well off the line during the route. And I'm not sure if that's like something on which he needs to improve. I'm just knowing that he was a force off the line of scrimmage. So on to Cleveland for a couple of joints that are going to be fantastic. These coaches have a high level of respect for each other and will craft this thing sweetly. Stefanski didn't play anybody in the Green Bay game, and Love got them deep to Dontavian Wicks for a 65-piece. Darisaw versus Myles Garrett or Zadarius Smith, yes, please. And All Day in America. That takes place in a couple of days, 9 to noon, doing radio shows from Cleveland in the team hotel. And members of the secondary finding Amari Cooper play after play. Speaking of Amari Cooper, somebody leaked the Browns tried to trade for Brandon Ayuk, and Amari Cooper was part of the deal. So I wonder if my man's feelings are hurt in any way, and if they are, is he going to try to take it out on the old Minnesota Vikings? Yeah, I think it was a legitimate report, too.
Man, these joints are going to be sweet.
And in fact, I would bet that somebody from the Niners leaked that the Calm was trying to trade Amari Cooper a second and a fifth for Brandon Ayuk. And we'll see how Amari handles it when we see him next week, because he didn't play in that Packers game. TimberTech.com. Thank you very much. What's on deck 9 to noon includes Vikes Bites around the corner, the analyst Pete Bursich about an hour from now, maybe 45 minutes. And it's a radio show produced by Eric Nordquist, and I'm Paul Allen. You're listening to FM 100.3 KFAN, your Vikes Bites leader, and that's next.
Welcome back. I apologize for the dramatic pause. Vikes Bites 9 to noon is brought to you by Thousand Hills, lifetime grazed, grass-fed beef. And you can go to thousandhillslifetimegrays.com, of course, and you can shop online. You can find a box of meat showing up at your doorstep, and it's elite products, so you love that. Or you can go to Coburn's, you can go to your local co-ops. Plenty of places to find Thousand Hills. Now, we played some highlights last segment, PA. We talked about being a fan of Dallas. Isn't Dallas Turner? Well, there was another person that found himself making a play on Saturday. It's this guy.
He's been balling too. Hey, the LSU guys. Hey, it's something.
I mean, are you kidding me, Justin?
Oh, we balling, man. I need to get on the mic more often.
Levi Drake Rodriguez with the sack. Justin, since you've been on the microphone, everything has turned positive.
I need to get on the mic more often, man. I need to talk to y'all guys more often.
So we found a sack in Levi, our late round draft pick, the energy boost, the spark plug of that defense late stages of the game. You heard that during the third quarter with Justin Jefferson on the mic. But whether it was, because I want to get to the secondary momentarily, but whether it was Levi Drake Rodriguez, you get the sack there, that's a standout moment for the rookie.
Yeah.
Or the undrafted free agent Bo Richter, somebody that we have not talked much about, the undrafted cat from Air Force. He had 10 sacks, 19 and a half TFL last year, but he had 6 tackles, 2 TFL, and a sack in 20 snaps on Saturday for the Vikings. He was all Mountain West. He's a 4.56 40 guy with a 40-inch vertical. He's 6'1", 250 pounds. Frankly, I hadn't been paying attention to Bo Richter. He plays on the outside as a linebacker. But Bo Richter, a guy that was making a statement on Saturday, and it was kind of a joy to watch, is in some ways, the coaches already know they want to see it play out on the field, but I'm still learning about some of these guys, and I loved Bo, and I loved Levi.
Well, you can't control who they put in front of you. So you just got to take what's there, follow whatever is given to you, and you are permitted to do per whatever plan and slice of a scheme they are showing. But it can't be disputed whether it's Levi Drake Rodriguez, Jalen Redmond, a defensive tackle in very sneaky fashion too, by the way, Andre Carter II, Bo Richter, Owen Porter, 57. There were backups who were getting around their guys play after play after play.
Yeah.
And, I've just Gabe Henderson tweeted about it last week at Gabe A. Henderson. And I've heard a couple of coaches talk about it. And I'm not one to fly in the face and be like, well, you're all wrong, even though I haven't seen it. And I wouldn't say that in the first place because they know more about it than me. But I just kept hearing how deep the Minnesota Vikings are at offensive and defensive line. Just how the depth has really, really been shining during training camp practices. All right, well, one into it, I saw it. I mean, it's the ones are going to do what the ones are going to do, but the backups were beating their guys too, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Is this Kwesi's plan, where he's going to trade away draft picks, find established players with resumes, known commodities?
There we go.
And just fill the rest of the team with undrafted people like Bo Richter and Ivan Pace.
You know what I think? I mean, I've been talking about it for about a month, and I haven't talked to Kwesi about it, but it doesn't mean I won't. Where it just is apparent to me that his self-awareness is very high, and given his background, he recognizes I can look at all these available players who have played X amount of games at the highest level. So I kind of know the commodity that I'm getting.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I don't want to say throwing darts, because that really disrespects the work that's put in during the course of the year. But the percentages of draft picks, either late on Friday or through Saturday that hit and or stick no matter the scheme may not be as probable or quantify the way the way he put it together this year, I believe will. So there's something's changing. Something's changing with his approach. And what you just said very well could be it.
Vikes Bites! Thank you, Thousand Hills. I saw this from Josina Anderson over the weekend, Saturday specifically, that Stephon Gilmore, free agent corner, former defensive player of the year, most recently, I believe, with Dallas, but he spent some time 2 years ago with the Colts, was with Brian Flores in New England when they won a Super Bowl in 2018, that he would be flying out Sunday and supposedly visiting with the Vikings today. Now, this is a combo platter here, PA, because one thing, as we were talking about stuff we wanted to see on Saturday, saw a bunch of really cool stuff. I did not see a corner that kind of jumped out of his skin and established himself. And so, Byron Murphy misses just an ugly early tackle. Caleb Evans had a nice open field tackle. Stuff like that happened, but
Shaq Griffin didn't play.
Yeah, and so you didn't even get to see Shaq Griffin in the mix. McGlothern playing later stages of games. So you're just trying to, and by the way, a vanilla front seven for the most part, I think, with the Vikings on Saturday. So a corner did not stand out to me in greatness on Saturday. Stephon Gilmore potentially visiting the team today. Where's your head at with the cornerback room?
Well, I saw the Gilmore tweet, and if he's here today, he's here today. He's not as good as he used to be, but I don't think he would be here if they didn't think he was good enough. I mean, Fabian Moreau, who I can't remember who laid this out for us last week, but he's like really good in man. And like when they go to zone, it just gets to be a little different. Well, Moreau was here 15 minutes and he was running with the ones. So the tell there, because this is the land of takes and tells and opportunity this time of the year, the fact that, even though Griffin was on the Mike Hughes Memorial Field, rehabbing something or getting himself ready, Moreau nevertheless slid in there. So if they're flirting with Stephon Gilmore, well, then that means they still feel they have a significant need with somebody who can pick things up and go quick twitch in man-to-man defense.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes.
Vikes Bites! Thank you, Thousand Hills. The Vikings kept 5 wide receivers last year, PA, after the final cuts.
Glad you said that. I was going to add that up.
Justin Jefferson, Addison, KJ Osborne, Jalen Naylor, and Brandon Powell. So that made up your 5.
Yep.
This time around, JJ, Jordan Addison, we know that. Jalen Naylor, I think, has done nothing but in some ways solidify him being a conversation piece as the third wide out.
Yeah.
Brandon Powell would make number 4.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's once you get past the top 2, it's interchangeable.
Right, but then there's Tristan Jackson and Trent Sherfield. So that of those 6, if we were to keep 5, one of them's got to go.
That's a great question.
Powell could jump out of his skin against Cleveland, right? I mean,
18-3, 83-4 make the team. Okay, that's it. I don't see how those 4 aren't on the active roster. So now you got 1 or 2 spots. All right. Now, like I was looking at somebody put together it might have been Alec YA a projected 53 after one game. It's fun to do. We might even do it later this week.
Yeah.
And I started counting up those numbers and everything that because it's one side's going to get 26, the other's going to get 24. Then you have 3 specialists, and I don't know which side's going to get 26, but like Michael Juergens was on the out bit with what I saw, which means he would go to the practice squad, which means, given there are those that know 1,000 times more about it than us, who believe Juergens will be a starting center in the National Football League one day. If that's the case, I can't see him being practice squad guy because somebody will take him.
I apologize for being stupid. Did he start on Saturday?
No, Bradbury.
And
then Juergens came in after him. There it is,
yep.
So now getting that O-line count and the secondary with all the safeties. Jay Ward played basically the whole game. I think he played like until the final 2 or 3 series against 3 or maybe 4 of their quarterbacks. So Ward played a lot. The point being, if they go 5, the last one, Sherfield Jr., senior, supposedly gives you so much on special teams that they gave him a 2-year deal. Now, it ain't that much cash, but, it's more than just a prove-it type deal.
Yep.
Jackson was with KOC in Los Angeles, and he carried him here. And Tristan had that nice 2-point conversion last year in the Dobbs game at Atlanta, and they liked Tristan. So I think as these next 2 games go, because they'll both play a fair amount, I think we're separating 8 and 11 for the 5th spot. And I think they probably would stop at 5. Very good question.
And so Powell, but we're locked in on Powell. That in totality,
I don't see how we can. He didn't play. I don't believe he played on Saturday. Maybe, I think maybe he did, but
maybe
he
a
did,
little bit. Yeah,
but he didn't return punts. It was Thayer Thomas, and he wasn't back on kicks. It was Thayer Thomas and Myles Gaskin. and that's another layer to the minutia that makes the preseason fun, is Daniels put a receiver and a running back deep for the kick returns.
Yeah.
To see, okay, do I want a running back type here who can bounce off 1.5 tackles, or do I want a receiver who's thick in the upper body and tough, but might have a little more quick twitch speed? So so they're still experimenting with that, as are many teams around the NFL. Now, when 9 to noon continues, Kevin O'Connell offered some thoughts following the victory against the Las Vegas Raiders. If you missed those, we'll play those back. Then at about 10:03, they're not experimenting in Chicago with Caleb Williams. Wow, my man looked really good in a game against Buffalo, and he made a lot of L's in Buffalo Bills in the full name. So he might have been going against a bunch of capital L's. But again, it doesn't matter what they put in front of you. You just have to dagger it and beat it and find some shine. And he did. And I want to talk about that at 10:03. But let's hear from KOC when we return to KFAN.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. Head coach Kevin O'Connell addressing the media after Saturday's 24-23 Vikings preseason victory. First one in a long time that we got to see. Here's KOC with said media.
Saturday, it's your Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns in the second preseason game. Vikings football Sunday on a Saturday begins at 2:30. Then Vikings and Browns from Cleveland at 3:25.
All right, hang on.
Here.
That is not said presser. So now we gotta jump on the fly here.
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites.
Red light, flashlight, neon light.
We have ourselves an automation-related issue that
I believe we've talked about that, Paul.
And we're going to fix this starting. Don't let me down.
Hey, is this Fred Bolitnikov's fax machine? Super Bowl story.
Well, we have still working here and absolutely incredibly frustrated with the system.
Minnesota Vikings.
Well, PA, I'm having trouble playing the presser right now.
What if I do Caleb Williams now and we do KOC next segment?
I think that's a smart play, PA. I apologize. So welcome back, 9 to noon. I promise you'll get to hear comments from the head coach next segment. As my system is not allowing me to say anything about it. You'll hear Kevin O'Connell talk about JJ McCarthy and the terrific start that he had.
What happened?
One of several terrific starts among rookie QBs in the preseason system.
What happened?
I'm going to have to reload it during the break. I apologize for that.
So,
Complete disaster.
So, all right, 3-2. So with all these kids throwing passes in National Football League games, it's FINA. It's FINA. It's FINA. All right. Fairness in 9 to noon act. We don't go, as we kind of mentioned, the segment, the opening segment. We don't go like 9 to noon is not with preseason. See, I told you Keaton Slovis was better than Spencer Rattler.
I always love that one.
Yeah, that's not us specifically off one preseason game. But all these new kid quarterbacks are super compelling. I mean, what you read about them up to the games, what you see in the games, and then you recognize that they are manning arguably the most difficult spot in all of sports. They're young and they're new at it. So this is quite compelling. Now, Bears rookie quarterback Caleb Williams played 20 snaps at Buffalo and looked wonderful. Very, very fast and quick with his decisions. Highlights that elite football minds have seen display some superstar in the making. Yes, I'm the one that said we don't dagger blanket opinions off one preseason game. I'm telling you, if you watch some of those highlights, just the highlights, you will see some superstar in the making, even off a preseason game.
Oh, my God.
The Caleb Williams, that flick to DeAndre Swift for a long one, it was like 42 yards. The only way to put it, it was a master class in being poised when the big guys in white were coming in from all angles. Then he hit DJ Moore, and this one, I mean, I was like, damn, look at my man right there. He hit DJ Moore for 10 on a bootleg play right that was so fast and so quick twitch and so edgy, the defensive end fell.
I always love that one.
I mean, there's Caleb. There's the first overall pick, booting out to the right. Defensive end thought he had an angle, but then Caleb's just so fast that my man just fell.
I always love that one.
And it wasn't A.J. Epinesa, which would have broken the heart of Eric Nordquist. It was all full speed for Caleb Williams against whatever iteration of Buffalo defense was on display. He's 1 for 1, and just one preseason game, 1 W. And I ain't talking about the final score. I'm just talking about his 20 plays. And Bears fans have a little something to discuss because now they've seen it. And, it's interesting in that, either reading stories that are put forth by the elite Courtney Cronin at ESPN.com, the elite Dan Wieder at Chicago Tribune. It's those are elite football minds, and they've also done this quite some time. So you're not going to get the, might be concerns here with old Caleb with those 2 interceptions in training camp. They don't do that because this is the time of the year, the high-enders, and he's a high-ender, they're put in positions that are of the compromising variety, and they don't always go the right way. So with Caleb Williams, there were reports during some of these training camps as like we got more interceptions than touchdowns, and there was indecisiveness here, and but that's with us, the outsiders, not exactly knowing what the plan is, because whatever the plan was with Caleb Williams over the weekend, it worked, and he did it fast. Now, like Bo Nix and like Will Levis second year. So some of these quarterbacks who were supposed to be really good, well, there were some moments in the Buffalo game. Caleb Williams threw it right to a linebacker for the Bills, and he dropped it. So that's going to happen too. But it really, this quarterbacks class, unlike the 2020 wide receiver draft, where it was so loud into the draft, this is going to be the best wide receiver draft in the history of the NFL. And it very well may be, with Justin Jefferson being part of it. I can't recall if out Indy way, if we were hearing best quarterback draft in the history of the NFL, but 6 went in the first 12. And I got so bit by things that I was hearing, because I quite honestly, I can't pick Spencer Rattler out of a 2-person lineup standing next to Duke Shelley.
I always love that one.
So, and Keaton Slovis, the BYU kid, I can't remember why I fell in love with him, but I liked him.
I always love that one.
So that led me to proclaim that there are going to be X amount of quarterbacks that are not taken in the first round, maybe around a handful that get second contracts. And for quarterbacks who are backups, to get second deals, that's big, man. But Caleb Williams is not in that. He's not in that aura. He'll get a second deal. He'll get a third deal. And he's going to be a handful when everybody plays him this year. We ain't breaking news, but, the by faith covenant also likes to see things too, just to see what it looks like and feels like and how it smells and what it's like when you touch it. And Caleb Williams, that shiny toy, was all about good times over the weekend. Bo Nix, I watched all of his snaps from the Broncos' victory at Indianapolis. Later in the radio show, we'll talk a little bit about him. But, all right, KO take 2 around the corner, 1 in a row, 4 KO, 1 in a row, 4 KO. KO's thoughts, we believe, are coming up.